Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Katie and I'm going to be bringing you 3 DIYs for the upcoming Halloween season. This is my very first video and I'm super excited to be sharing my love for crafting with you guys. So if you'd like to see more awesome, budget-friendly, Dollar Tree crafts, please hit the subscribe button and like my video. So for the first part of this tutorial, you're going to want to take your vase and you're going to want to grab your paints in the gray, the dark gray, the linen color. You're going to want to start distressing it. You want it to look old, not like it's brand new. So I just painted it, wiped it, and kept doing that over and over again until it got the desired look that I wanted. For this next part, you're going to need a bag of these little skulls. I'd already taken a few out. Then you're going to want to distress this skull because they look really plasticky and just really fake, and I kind of wanted to give them more of a realistic look. So first I cut along the seam of the skull right at the top there with my X-Acto knife, and once that got off, then I went and painted it with the same colors I used pretty much to paint the vase, except black. I did use a little bit of black on the eyes. So just go ahead and start. This is really there's no exact rhyme or reason for what I did. I just put the paint over, wiped it off, and kept doing it over and over again until it looked aged and older and not so harsh, with not such a harsh plastic look. So for this next part, you're going to want to take your hot glue gun and glue around the edges of the skull and then you're going to want to place them on your sunflowers however you like, whichever position you want the faces to go. I wanted them all to be facing the same direction, so that's kind of what I did. I kind of eyeballed it, would place it in the vase and see and make sure it was how I wanted them to lay when the other flowers were in there. For this next part, you're going to grab your vase and your Spanish moss, and then you're going to go ahead and fill the vase completely full with Spanish moss. At first I only went halfway and it wasn't enough support for the flower since I didn't have any floral foam on hand and wasn't sure how it was going to look. So I grabbed my mini sunflowers and just cut them off so I could position them easier. And I did that with the sunflowers as well. So for the next part, I just started arranging the flowers how I wanted them to, and I realized that I didn't have enough for my particular vase. So I grabbed some stuff from my fall stash and just filled it in. There's like pumpkin, cattails, a little bit of eucalyptus, and just stuck them in there and filled it in how I liked. And this is what it looked like. For the next project, you're going to need one of these plastic skulls from the Dollar Tree. You're going to need some floral moss, some Spanish moss, and I believe it was reindeer moss, but I don't have the tag and it's been sitting in my stash for a while, so I wasn't 100% sure what it was, but I think it's reindeer moss. And then you need a succulent or other floral of your choosing for the top of the skull. For this next part, I'm going to go ahead and take my hot glue gun and I'm just going to start putting glue on top of the skull. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my floral moss and I just take a big clump of it and I'm going to just stick it on the top of the glue. Then I'm taking other moss. The other moss is like the reindeer, and I do a little bit of the Spanish moss because I want the different textures and I want it to look like it's growing, you know, out of the ground in a forest or somewhere. So then I just take it and I just add more glue and pat it on wherever. I realized that the succulent I bought was a little too heavy for the lightweight skulls, so I went and trimmed about like 2 layers, if that makes sense, around the thing. So basically it just got a little lighter and a little smaller, and it looked more aesthetically pleasing. It was just a little too big and bulky before I trimmed it down. Then I trimmed the back off so it would lay flush on the skull. Then I just kind of looked around, figured out where I wanted it to lay. You can put it somewhere else, but I felt it laid best at the top and balanced a little better. Then I went in and I started just putting moss in the eyes and in the nose cavity. I put it along the jawline, in between the teeth, anywhere, just to kind of fill that in and make it look real overgrown. And I just did that all the way around until the very end. Love the way it turned out. This is definitely probably one of my favorite projects. I love that it just looks like it grew out of, that the ground grew over the skull. So sorry for the quality and the way the picture looks in this video. I didn't realize at the time that my camera was probably not positioned properly, so bear with me. It's my first video. But you're going to need one of those wooden planks from the dollar store, or Walmart also sells a smaller version for like 97 cents. You're going to need a plastic skull again. And what I wanted to do with this is I needed to cut around and make it jagged, and so I just kind of drew a rough outline, and that way when I was cutting I wouldn't go outside of where I needed to be. So then I just cut it off because I'm going to cut that lower jawline off. So you can just cut it off at the teeth. So then I'm just going ahead and taking my knife. I definitely recommend an X-Acto knife or a razor blade. Scissors didn't work very well for this. And then I just cut it off and discarded that other piece. Then you're going to want to cut out the nose and the eyes. And right here you can see I'm just kind of trying to figure out the way I'm going to do that. And I end up realizing that going through the back is much easier to cut both of the eyes and the nose out. So go ahead and do that. And it just makes it a lot easier that way because there's like protruding plastic. And it just made it easier to cut. So I just wiggled those pieces out, cut those, and then that was it. Here you can see where the plastic is kind of sticking out of the eye socket area, so I just snipped it with my scissors and went in with my razor blade and cut around the edges until I got all of that plastic off. So for the next part of the project, you're going to get your board, your black paint, and you're going to give it just 2 coats of black acrylic paint, or even a chalk paint would work, whatever you prefer. And then I went around and I got the edges of the board, but I didn't do the back because you're not going to really see it, so it doesn't matter. But you can do it if you would like. So right here, you can see that I'm just doing the edges and then finishing up. So I forgot to show you guys what I was using for this specific project. So I'll link everything in the description box below. But I got these wooden cubes from the Dollar Tree. And then I took a sign. They were like pumpkins or give thanks or scarecrows. They're like for kids to paint. And I took the board from that and cut it in half with my Dremel. And then I just painted those pieces black because I couldn't find any Jenga pieces at my Dollar Tree, and I needed some sort of, surface for the tea light to rest on. So right here I'm painting that cut piece. You can see where it would have like a sign that would normally sit into it. And like I said, I'll post all of the products I used in the description box, so that way there's no confusion. So then what I did is I took the little cube after the paint was dry and I put it right at the bottom of the skull, like where it's flush with the teeth. As you can see, I'm trying to show how it's right at the edge there. And I'm pressing it and I'm making sure the glue is dried really well. You could do something even like an E6000 and hot glue, but I just did hot glue. Then I took that plank piece, glued that on to that wooden piece. And then I'm positioning it, just kind of seeing where I want it to lay, making sure it's even. And then I take that other wooden cube and glue it right on the bottom there. And I glue it to the board and the bottom of it, so it's extra secure. So once the last wooden block is put on, I just grab some command strips that I've had lying around, since this isn't going to be permanent, and then I just put those on the back and I place them on my wall where I wanted them to be and put the tea lights in, and that's it. You have 2 really cool sconces for just a few dollars. For watching my video, and I hope to see you guys again soon.